The NFC South is loaded for this upcoming year. We've seen all the moves the Saints have made. Of course, the Buccaneers bringing in Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and a lot of other moves around that division, which makes for a very interesting time to bring in our new friend, Cam Jordan, Pro Bowl defensive end for those New Orleans Saints whom we met at the Super Bowl. And Cam, it is good to see you back. I appreciate you getting up with us this morning. And so the first thing I want to ask, as we look at that graphic, what was the first word that came out of your mouth after hearing Tom Brady was coming to your division?
Drew Brees was coming back. I don't have to look outside. I can just know that the quarterback who's always been at helm since I've been playing is coming back our way. So it's nice to know that our NFC South division has gotten a lot tougher with the additions of Teddy Bridgewater going to Carolina and Tampa Brady over down south at the Bucs. But at the end of the day, we have Drew Brees back. We've kept Taysom there. We've added on Jameis Winston. When it talks of wide receiver targets, we add in Emmanuel Sanders. We drafted tight end who can learn from Jared Cook. There's nothing but positives that we've done this draft. We picked up an outside linebacker. On paper, I'm sort of excited. Our corners are established. You have Marshawn Lattimore, you have Jack Rabbit, you've got, we bring Malcolm Jenkins back. We have Marcus Williams heading to his fourth year, who's only been getting better each and every year that he's played. Again, I'm not really worried about everybody else outside of our own building.
That's fair. I do wonder, though, just as a defensive player, it would seem to me that you would take it as a great challenge or maybe some motivation. Here comes this legendary guy. I mean, Tom Brady's not just any other guy. Tom Brady's coming to the division. You know you're going to see him twice a year. People are going to talk a lot about them and give them a lot of attention, and people will pick them to do very well. How does that affect the way you approach things?
Everybody expects the team to do very well. I guess the difference would be when Tom Brady is at helm. I mean, he's made all of his playoffs in the last 15 years. When he was healthy, when you talk about everything that Tom has done in his career, the amount of championships that he's won. I mean, I guess this is the year that outside looking in, you'll say, hey, is Tom Brady without Bill Belichick, or is Bill Belichick without Tom Brady? That's for anybody outside of, our building to worry about. When it comes down to what we want to do, what we have to do now, Buccaneers have sort of gotten Tom Brady and Gronkowski, so they sort of buffed up a little bit. But at the end of the day, the NFC South has been a hard won division, although we've won 3 out the last 3 years. So
yeah, it used to be a division that a different team would win every year, and you guys have put a stop to that. I do wonder, as one who has never sacked anyone in my entire life, I would ask you, are all sacks created equal? Is it different when you sack? It doesn't have to necessarily just be Brady, but when you get in there and you sack one of the legendary big-name quarterbacks in the NFL, does it feel a little different than it does someone whose name everybody doesn't know?
I'd like to think that the two new additions to NFC South are quarterbacks that I've already sacked. So I don't know if there's going to be a different feeling to it. I do know it's going to be a little bit more difficult knowing what Tom Brady knows, knowing how Tom Brady gets the ball out. He does have one of your quickest releases. I mean, it's not the fact that he's going to be taking the deep shots anymore. He's got a lot of intermediate routes. He's got a lot of check downs in him. And everybody knows this. So it's very hard to get a hold of Brady. So it's going to be a challenge in itself.
And you mentioned all the acquisitions that your team made. I'm fascinated, first and foremost, by the acquisition of Jameis. I know he's on the other side of the ball from you, but he's a guy who obviously has so much talent. And if they can put it together, what do you think his coming to your team means?
I mean, this is one of the few quarterbacks in this National Football League that has thrown for over 5,000 yards. I mean, he led the league last year in yards thrown. Again, he led the league in interceptions. But I know there's started quarterbacks in this league that has had almost as many receptions with not as many passing yards. So with him being able to take, I wouldn't say a seat, but a studying year or whatever the time is to learn from Drew Brees, that's only going to benefit not only him, but possibly us in the future.
Yeah, I think there's a real chance of that, obviously, from the distance at which I sit. I want to change the subject here because we all understand we're living through these extraordinary times. What conversations have you had with other players about the idea of playing this fall, the possibilities of what may happen and all of that?
With the core collective, we've talked about it. And, if you've ever been in New Orleans, if you ever played with the Saints, you know that the fans are just as tuned into our season as the players are. You know, the ability for our fans to make the noise cancel out a lot of offensive transitions, offensive adjustments for an opposing team. That is something that's been special this entire time. And for us to play without it will be something that we'd have to adjust to. And at the end of the day, we'll have to cross that bridge if we have to get there. But we know that, you know, our Who Dat Nation has been so strong over the years, has been so on the same level with our mindset or with our focus, with, you know, the emotional battles that we go through in a game, that it's sort of hard to even imagine a season without them. But if that being said, if we got to go play out in the parking lot to beat our opposing teams, we'll do that as well.
I get it. How about your coach? I had Sean Payton on here a couple of weeks ago. What was your reaction when you first heard that he had tested positive for coronavirus?
You know, at first I was worried. I was, you know, I'm not saying Sean's an older man, but, you know, he's somebody who's so integral to our building that, you know, I was in high worry about his health, his mental health, his physical health. And then what is it, like 2 days later, he's on Twitter just like releasing, you know, what happened during these plays, these play-by-play calls about what happened, about, you know, Mike Thomas's route here, whatever it was. And he caught a little bit of criticism about like releasing plays, but in my mind, I was like, oh, he's good. I was like, he's all right. And then thinking about him, like now he's stuck in the house for 14 days in a room, knowing that, you know, he's able to get into a playbook, able to create plays. I feel like in my mind, he's going to be out there like Bobby Boucher's coach off of Waterboy with the new special playbook by the time we get to training camp. You let the mad scientist just have all this time to himself. I'm sort of scared for our defense when we get to training camp.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.